Hey guys, Lex here, back for some more of The Great Ace Attorney. Last time we started the second episode and we were framed again. This time for Kazuma's murder. The same thing happened with Blank in Final Fantasy IX. I give them my snake voice and they die. Anyway, let's continue to see what Sholmes is talking about. How could you do it? For pity's sake, open your eyes. I'm not a Russian revolutionary, obviously. Oh, forgive me. And as for you, what kind of deduction was that? You were just saying the first thing that came in your head. But was I not right? Whilst venturing towards foreign climes, you do find yourself in a most troubling predicament, do you not? Well, yeah, maybe. There you have it. You see. What do you think? What do you make of that? Well, to be honest, this ship is en route to England, and I'm in handcuffs at the scene of a murder. So I'm not really sure you could call it a deduction. It's more plain observation. Indeed, an observation, my dear boy, is the basis of all deduction. My method is founded upon the observation of trifles. You see, I announce my findings with a brassy certitude. And more often than not, I'm right. I don't think you introduced yourself. My apologies. How remiss of me. I am none other than the greatest detective of the century, known to men and women the world over. The inimitable Herlock Sholmes. So, it's really you, the actual Herlock Sholmes? The very same. The inimitable, actual Herlock Sholmes. Do you know this man, Susato-san? Most famous detective in the world, Naruto-san. Of course I do. There's nobody who hasn't heard of him. What planet have I been living on, then? Must ask him what he's deduced. You'll have worked out the entire case already, I'm sure. Really? Why do I feel uneasy about this? I don't know. Is this gonna be a dumb Sherlock? Great detective. So, you're a great detective, are you? Sorry, what was your name again? Indeed, I am none other than the one and only Herlock Sholmes. Oh, I see. You're German. Airlock, was it? No, I have no air. I mean, I have hair. But call me Sholmes. You could read all about my exploits in this exciting London publication. Oh yes, Rand's magazine, full of wonderful short stories and interest articles from Great Britain. I never miss an issue. I have it sent from England especially. Yes, here it is. The Adventures of Herlock Sholmes. So, you're the protagonist in a series of short stories, then? Indeed I am. And you've read so many of your own stories, you've started to think you really are a detective. Make no mistake, I'm not the poor, deluded fellow you take me for. Your inference is backward. Backward? My trusty biographer records my greatest detecting achievements and chronicles them in the magazine. You have a biographer, do you? Doesn't everyone? Mine goes by the name of Dr. Wilson, presently keeping shop in London. Dr. Wilson? He did. I must say, thanks to that publication, I've been fantastically busy of late. Pshaw. Why, this moment I am returning from Asia, having solved the mystery of a cursed royal crown. Really? I can't ever count whether I should take this man seriously or not. Deduction, you see, is to me a science, logical reasoning in its purest form. Science? Really? The astute observer notices even the most subtle of reactions in his subject. A furtive glance, a twitch of a muscle, a slight inclination of the posture. Fingernails, arm sleeves, fur on the skin, all these things are data. Right. And the trained logician makes deductions from this data in a blink of an eye. The ultimate conclusion is, without fail, the truth. As I demonstrated only a few short moments ago. How can he look me now and claim that? So you see, I have turned both for observation and for deduction and fame. That is what makes me the one only heir. No, Herlock Sholmes. Have you managed to deduce anything about this particular case yet? Have I managed to deduce anything? My dear fellow. Who do you suppose discovered the culprit in this most cunning hiding place? That's right. It was none other than the greatest detective before you now, Mr. Herlock Sholmes. Ah, I see. In other words, I'm in these now because of him. You fool! When I became anxious about Kazuma-sama this morning, I summoned all of the crew members to force the cabin door open. And I concealed myself among their number, gaining entry to the scene of the crime. Yes, luckily for everyone, the greatest detective, Herlock Sholmes, was on board. The handcuffs seemed to be an excellent fit, Mr. Naruhodo. Ah! The very moment I laid eyes on the scene, two facts were immediately apparent to me. Oh really, two facts, you say? Two facts. Mr. Sholmes, tell us please. What two facts were apparent to you when you came into this cabin this morning? Yes, but first, let us be precise. Two facts in question were immediately apparent to me. Yes, I understand, but what were they? Allow me to elucidate. The two facts that I deduced from a merely momentary glance at the scene of the crime were as false. Fetish! Number one, the cabin was locked from within, rendering escape of the culprit out of the question. Number two, the victim was Russian and killed following a dispute with an acquaintance. Hold on, what do you think the victim was Russian? Because of the Russian letters. Observe the dying message left by the victim on the floor. That's the Russian word for wardrobe. Do you think Kazuma-sama could have left a dying message in Russian? In their final moments, many find their native tongue filling their head. For this young man, Russian. Kazuma was Russian? Was he? Initially, I considered Garderob, maybe the name of the killer. A certain Robert Gard, perhaps. But in the interest of toughness, I decided it would be wrong not to look inside the wardroom there at least. Where you found Mr. Naruhodo sleeping soundly. Quite so, I found you, the renowned Russian revolutionary killer. I said I'm Russian too. I observed that you were wearing the same attire as the victim. In other words, you were acquainted. And if my memory serves, that outfit is the traditional dress of the Russian people. Oh. Our school uniforms are traditional dress of the Russian people. I had no idea. And I had no idea this detective could get something so wrong. I took a photograph of the victim and the message, that I might analyze it for possible hidden details. This was taken immediately after the young man was discovered before the body was removed. Yes, Kazuma had already been taken away when I woke up. This is the first time I've actually seen him like this. His headband's not blowing in the wind. That means he's dead. You alright, Mr. Naruto? Yeah, thanks. Can I ask you something, Mr. Holmes? What, pray? Let me check this. What, pray? You mentioned Russia before as well, didn't you? You know when you said I was a fearsome revolutionary fleeing Russia, and all of that? Ah, yes, the train of reasoning that led me to the truth. Would you mind explaining that train of reasoning to me, do you think? I don't know what that means. Certainly, if it interests you. How many times? I'm not Russian. I don't speak Russian. Can we talk about your deduction before? The things you concluded about me, I mean? Ah, the now famously accurate, troubling predicament you find yourself in. Actually, it was the other details that I was more hoping to discuss. You know, the merciless Russian revolutionary and assassin of 16 part. Ah, yes, the more sordid details. It was fairly commonplace deduction. Here we have this morning's paper. The main headline reads, Revolutionary Vilik Bolshevik flees Russia via Shanghai. This vessel made a port call at Shanghai yesterday, and last night the young Russian was murdered. Since when was Kazuma Russian? Sounds like Mr. Sholmes has concluded he was Russian because of what Kazuma-sama wrote on the floor. It was a simple act of reasoning to realize that the culprit of this crime was the same merciless revolutionary. One who would kill the very man who helped him to escape after his true identity was discovered. Yes, you, villain Bolshevik. No, how could it be me? I don't look like anything like that. Just look at his face. Look at the top of his head. Well, you are a fearsome revolutionary after all. Shisha. Therefore, you have no doubt learnt to revolutionize your appearance as well. Please. And I might add, your name does not appear on the ship's passenger list. Need I say more? Well, that's because I'm a stowaway. What about the other details? The 16 victims of assassination and blowing up the Crystal Tower? Ah, yes, the journalist clearly interviewed the man and printed all those particulars in the article. The deeds the man has perpetrated thus far and those he is plotting. Yes, everything about this revolutionary Bolshevik was included. There could be no mistake. Do revolutionaries usually agree to interviews with newspaper reporters, I wonder? What about the part where you said I was just returning from Afghanistan? Ah, quite clearly stated here in the article. Bolshevik has recently returned after a period of subversive activities in a war-torn region in Afghanistan. Where even is that anyway? This Afghanistan place. Here, take the paper for yourself as a little memento of this great deduction. Oh, thank you. I've absorbed all this of interest to me within its pages, but I see no rubbish bin nearby. Okay. And you may find the article on the back page of interest as well. Okay. I'm afraid I can't read a word of Russian. No, me neither. I have no idea what any of this says. A pair of you floundering is a sorry sight. Allow me to offer some assistance. The article on the front page of this newspaper is concerned with a fearsome Russian revolutionary. Reads, Revolutionary Villain Bolshevik flees Russia via Shanghai. Yes, he told us that before. It reveals also that those who see the man's beard with their own eyes never live to tell the tale. Oh my goodness, he is fearsome. Well, presumably the newspaper photographer was alright, was it? The The solution is obvious, of course. If he despises his beard to that degree, he should only shave it off. I'm not quite sure that's the problem, Mr. Sholmes. Huh. What's this? Ballerina? This is interesting. You found something relevant to Naruto-san? Well, no, I mean it looks like it might be interesting. I can't read a single word, I'm afraid. No, nor can I. But look at this picture. Perhaps it's about a beautiful young Russian princess, do you think? Yes. Pretty, isn't she? I suppose you enjoy articles like this, don't you? I don't know. I can't make any sense of it. I'm glad you noticed this article. Allow me to give you a short summary of its contents. Oh, thanks. Perhaps a paragraph, this Mr. Sholmes. It's about the disappearance of a young lady last night. Renowned prima ballerina of the Novavik Ballet disappears from Shanghai. During a performance in Shanghai, the famous dancer was reported missing. She is, of course, the talented young Nicola Pavola. Why are Russian names so hard to remember? That wasn't that hard. It would appear the woman was in a costume when she was found to be missing from her dressing room, wearing the diamond tiara you see pictured, which is worth some 20,000 rubles. Oh, how much is 20,000 rubles? I have no idea, but I'm quite sure. It must be an unbelievable sum of money. Sato-san's eyes are shining like diamonds themselves. Tiara is the property of Novavik Ballet. It would seem the director is beside herself in worry. Yeah, I'm not surprised. The company is most anxious to recover both Miss Pavola and the valuable tiara. They've requested international assistance at all ports with sailings to Great Britain. Could this be another case of Russian fleeing his or her country? It does seem to be a Russian thing to do. I'm not even going to dignify that with a response, Mr. Naruto. Cool. And you may find the article on the back page of interest as well. On the back, cast your eye over it sometime if the interest takes you, though you may need someone to interpret. It's all written in Russian. I couldn't hope to read it, but I suppose it wouldn't hurt just to glance at the article. Maybe there might be a picture or two. Before we started talking, you were examining Kazuma's desk, weren't you? Kazuma? Ah, yes, the victim. Did you notice anything useful, anything at all? Observe for a moment the desktop of the victim. We see that the victim was engaged in penning some text. London diary. Kazuma was keeping notes of the trip. Ah, but I don't think you should read his private writings. It could upset people. Tragic. And something you ought to perhaps elucidate before the act of reading. You mean you read it already? It is my business to know what other people do not. Yes, believe it or not, I know a smattering of Japanese. Oh, I see. Well, you're about to know what a Sada takedown is. Susato-san, aren't you going to throw the detective with one of your trademark takedowns? Sorry, Naruto-san. What on earth do you mean? Life is so unfair. Pain. Anyway, to return to the matter at hand, namely, this diary belonging to the victim. It would appear the final sentence is incomplete. as if the author was cut short. Tell me, what is the nature of the writing? Pray be precise as to the details. Oh, but I thought you knew Japanese. A smattering, dear boy, a smattering. Sayonara, banzai, mikado, nado nado. I trust you're suitably impressed. Ha! But this diary is littered with complicated-looking characters, of which I can read precisely none. So what was all that about showing off about before that? If you would be so kind to show me, I would be happy to read it to you, Mr. Sholmes. Why? I'm much obliged, my dear madam. The final entry here in Kazuma-sama's diary consists of just 2 sentences. The first reads, 1:23 a.m. I could hear a faint whistling sound. Whistling sound? These are very deep waters. Pray, go on. Second reads, 1:35 a.m. What looks like a sort of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill. Speckled band? What on earth does that mean? I have no idea. I've never heard that expression before. The ventilator grill, you say? The man was presumably referring. To the lattice there on the wall, which connects to the adjoining cabin. Yes, the adjoining cabin. Must diary entered. So I believe I've given you enough to consider, for the time being at least. Ah, do you have somewhere to go? As it happens, the victim's writings in his diary have piqued my interest. Whoosha. The matter warrants further investigation, I believe, and if I am still too long, the seasickness takes hold. Oh, I suppose. You're thinking of investigating the cabin next door, which ventilator connects to. Great detectives are a curious breed. Our minds rebel at stagnation. We crave mental exaltation. So yes, I intend to investigate, hence the truth will become clear soon enough. Do you think perhaps that we could go with you? No, that would be somewhat complicated. What? Why? A simple glance at your wrist could reveal the answer. Oh, these... After all, you're the prime suspect in this matter, no? There's no point trying to turn it into a question. You're the one who decided I was the culprit in the first place. Whatever do you mean? I have no recollection of naming you as the culprit at any point. You must be joking. You just said it only a moment ago. Dear me, you are clearly misguided. I would have no cause to say such a thing. Well, actually, Mr. Sholmes, I did hear you say that too. You're quite sure? Well, that's very strange. I wouldn't have said you had the face of a criminal, you know. Not really. So what, you were looking at my knees before? Some great detective you are. Well, anyway, that was then, and this is now. What do you mean? What I mean, sir, is this. If you are the culprit, then you must play the part more convincingly. Roll over and accept your fate. Now he's just being plain rude. And off he goes, having just laughed in my face. Sense of humor is as twisted as his name. Naruhodo-san, what are you just standing there for? You must go and investigate the cabin next door as well. Aren't you forgetting something? What about these There's no way I can... Hiya! My back! Oh. After Kazuma spent his dying moments struggling to leave us a clue you're willing to give up, you're just going to roll over and accept your fate? Oh, as if you gave me any joys in the rolling over part. I think we still have some investigation to finish off in here first, don't we? Let's carry on examining what we can in this cabin while we wait for a chance to slip next door. Good idea. The situation doesn't look good for me, but there are still things I could do to help myself. And I owe to Kazuma to do everything I can to find a way out of this and bring the real culprit to justice. Is that... something wrong, Naruto-san? Oh no, it's just that crewman standing by the door. Can't help like I've seen him somewhere before. Oh yes, you're right. He does look familiar. Excuse me, sir. Yes, what can I do for you? Hey, wait a minute. It's a Hosonaga. I recognize that face, but it can't be. It is. I didn't know you were here, Inspector Hosonaga. Hello again. What are you doing here? I think that should be my line. I was so stunned when I saw you, my heart stopped. Nearly stopped, I hope. I received some special orders to go undercover as a member of the crew and board this ship. Again? You certainly seem to enjoy undercover work, Inspector. If there's anything I could do to help you, please ask. I never expected to see this man on board, but perhaps his presence can help me out of this hopeless situation. So, what are your special orders this time, Inspector? Yes, and why are you dressed up as a member of the crew? So sorry. It's all my fault. Take full responsibility. Or for what? My orders were to act as Soge-san's bodyguard. What? It was Minister of Justice Jikoku who pushed for this overseas study tour to go ahead. He entrusted me with ensuring that Asogi-san reached Great Britain without being assassinated. Assassinated? How? How could that even have been a possibility? I'm not sure, but these are complicated times. There are tensions between the world's greatest powers. Minister Jigoku said we should be prepared for all eventualities. This is incredible. I don't believe it. Kazuma-san was assassinated? Obviously, we couldn't give Asogi-san a visible security escort. That's why I'm undercover now, posing as one of the crew. See. I didn't take my eyes off him the entire time we've been on board, from morning until night, every day. But I never imagined it would happen here, inside his own cabin, not here or on the first-class deck. So it was through the vent. Failed miserably at my assignment, and Asogi-san is dead as a result. I'm a disgrace. All I could do is humbly apologize. Spectre. So if there's anything at all I could do to help now, just say the word. Doing what we can to investigate Kazuma's death ourselves. Thought you might be. You didn't do it, did you? You're not the killer. Of course not. We'd really like to investigate the cabin next door. Yes, we need to be allowed out of this cabin. Sorry. What? been deemed a risk to the ship's safety. If you moved to even touch the handle of the cabin door, that stormy-looking seaman there would surely snap your neck in two. Suppose I'm not just a stowaway now. They think I'm a murderer as well. Would it be possible to give me something to work with? Do you think? I'm going to need something persuasive. What do you mean? I had solid reason why the next door cabin should be investigated, for example. I can do everything I could to persuade the captain to allow it. Really, I'd lay my life on the line if I had to. But I don't see how. There may be a way. What? Really? Think of how you tried to persuade me of your innocence, Naruto-san, by presenting me with a piece of evidence that you already had in your possession. Evidence? It's just the same as when you are in court. You must have done it many times during your trial. Simply select the present panel and choose some evidence that Inspector Hosonaga could use. So evidence that could give us a viable reason to investigate the next door cabin, is it? Alright, I think I might know what we can use. See if I could present the detective with evidence he needs to persuade the captain. Take that! What's that? It's Kazuma's diary. Just before he died, Kazuma-sama wrote something rather strange in his diary. Strange? In what way? He wrote, "What looks like some kind of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill." A speckled band? That is strange. Yes, we're trying to work out what he meant by that. But what I'd like to know is... Don't tell me the ventilator, is it? You're very astute, Inspector. That ventilator clearly joins the next door cabin. That's right. If we could investigate in there, we might be able to work out what the speckled band was. Alright then. Can't leave this cabin at the moment. I'm stuck here until we arrive at the next port. The captain has given me strict orders to guard the scene of the crime, you see. I'll have to entrust the investigation to you. Really? You're willing to do that? Yes, as long as you don't leave the first-class cabin area. I'm afraid I can't remove those handcuffs, though. But what about the captain? Aren't you going against his direct orders? I'm a man of my word. And I promise you that I'll lay my life on the line if that's what it takes to convince the captain. After all, I failed to keep Asogi-san safe. This is the least I could do. Thank you. Let's seize the moment then, Naruto-san. Just select move and we could leave this cabin at last. Move, alright, let's see what we can find out. January 9th, 7:48 a.m. SS Buria, first class cabin, Passageway. Phew, I'm finally out of that cabin. I have to admit, this isn't quite what I was expecting. It's less spacious out here than I thought it would be, and this is the most luxurious accommodation. Yes, indeed. Kazuma-sama was being sent on this study tour by the government. That's why he was being put up in the first-class cabin. Even still, this is about twice as large as my accommodation in steerage. Really? That must be awful. Oh, look over there. There's another crewman keeping watch. He looks enormous, even if he is sitting down. The door next to him leads to the second-class accommodation.
Suppose he's making sure that no one comes in here who shouldn't.
I suppose. Like people in handcuffs?
Naruhodo-san, you look like a little boy visiting a toy shop for the first time. I would have thought you'd be used to the ship by now. We've been at sea for 2 weeks already.
Well, yes, I know, but the thing is, I was inside Kazuma's trunk when I first came aboard. And ever since then, I've been shut up inside that little wardrobe.
It must have been a very trying time for you.
Please, don't give me that pitying look. Cool. Let's examine everything. What? Oh yeah, left. Ooh. First class cabin number 1. Yes, that's our cabin.
Not our cabin, it's Kazuma-sama's.
Sorry?
Your accommodation is confined to the wardrobe inside the cabin.
You know how to make this stowaway feel small, don't you? Smallest wardrobe I've been calling home.
These cabins are the finest on the ship. My own cabin in steerage is number 539, by the way.
500 and... how many cabins are there?
Ah, a trap for catching mice.
Yes, we have plenty of those back home in Japan, although they seem to be using a lump of chalk or something as bait.
Let me see. Yes, I think that's what it's called. Cheese. It's made from the milk of cows.
Cheese? Wonder what that tastes like.
Can't eat it, Naruhodo-san. The trap will snap shut on your fingers.
Really? But... I suppose you're right.
You weren't actually going to try it, were you?
All I've had to eat for the past couple of weeks is Kazuma's leftovers. You don't know how hungry I've been in that wardrobe.
Poor you. I'll find a little snack for you later.
How did I go to the bathroom? You shit in the closet? What do you think this is? It's a very pleasing shape, isn't it?
That's an emergency alarm. It's probably best not to touch it.
Oh, an alarm.
It says press only in times of emergency. It looks as though it sets alarm bells ringing all over the ship and brings a vessel to a complete stop.
Oh, this I have to see.
What are you doing, Naruhodo-san? You mustn't touch it.
This is an emergency situation. Just look at these handcuffs.
You know full well that's not what the alarm is for. If you were trying to bring the vessel to a standstill for no good reason, you'd be in an even worse situation.
I wish everything would just stop. The ship included.
If you have to do something foolish, at least make it something that doesn't affect anyone else.
This is it. This is the cabin next to ours. The one the ventilator connects to.
Yes, the ventilator from which Kazuma-sama wrote that she saw a speckled band emerging.
Maybe whoever in this cabin can help solve that particular mystery. Let's ask. Oh. Oh, excuse me. We, need to get inside this cabin here. The less talking, the better for me.
This sailor's eyes speak volumes. They're clearly saying, keep out.
That's what I wrote on the sign when we put over the wardrobe doors. Although this man's version is definitely more effective.
Doesn't look like he's going to let us pass.
That's a problem. This looks like a plan of the SS Burya. It shows each deck. Look.
Burya is a large-scale steamship with a triple-skinned hull. Triple-skinned hull. What a marvel of engineering.
Well, it's been playing in my mind for a while now, actually, but how is it that such a huge lump of metal doesn't just sink to the bottom of the ocean?
Buoyancy. Oh, that's really quite simple, Naruhodo-san.
It is?
Well, consider the Japanese archipelago.
The islands of Japan.
Yes, they're not metal, but they're enormous lumps of earth, many times larger than the ship. They don't sink, do they? They've been floating happily on the sea since the gods created them.
Well, I suppose so. I don't think that's how that works. Ship protocols. That's a huge book on top of the table there, and there's a pen next to it.
Yes, that looks like the ship's log.
Shall we have a look through it? The writing is so neat and precise. Every detail about the voyage has been meticulously recorded. You wouldn't expect a rough and ready sailor to have such beautiful handwriting. And nothing. No reaction at all? I thought he might appreciate the compliment. Oh, you. Ha ha ha.
I'm not sure that rough and ready is much of a compliment, Naruto-san, even to a sailor. Anyway, last night's log is mostly blank.
Presumably that means there was nothing to report. Murders happen every day.
That's right to the second-class area of the ship. Something wrong?
I was thinking about making a run for it, just for a moment. Things aren't exactly going well for me. I could totally swim with these.
I might be wrong, but imagine the moment you reach the handle of the door, that burly seaman would surely shoot you dead.
I'm not a fan of being shot by seamen.
Oh dear, I'm sorry. Perhaps I went a little too far there?
No, I started with my talk of running away. And there's no way I could run away while Kazuma's death remains a mystery anyway. Excuse me, but could I ask you something? You little stowaway murderer. That wasn't a good start, was it?
All right, let me try instead. Good day, Mr. Sailor. I'm so sorry to trouble you, but could I perhaps ask something of you?
You little third-class lady's maid.
Oh,
You seem to have caught the sailor on the bad days, Sato-san. I am not sailor. My mother gave me a name. I am senior crewman, Bif Strogenov. Bif Strogenov. The best thing is to avoid eye contact, I think. First class cabin area. Mr. Stroganov. About the first class cabin area. Here we are in finest part of Buryasti steamship for very important persons. What sort of very important persons? Government officials, kings and queens traveling in secret. Many important persons. That is why I'm always guarding this place. Gosh, that's amazing. But somehow I let stupid stowaway inside. I want to pick you up and throw you in ocean, but Stroganoff is not animal. Thank you.
I was wondering, is the cabin next to Mr. Asogi's currently occupied?
Da. Sato-san, did you understand that?
It sounded like da. I think it's probably Russian for yes or no.
Oh, genius. It could be any one of them. It is not permitted to visit other cabins without invitation. Well, it sounds like there's somebody in the next door cabin at least.
Yes, it's tantalizing.
Could you tell us who's traveling in the cabin next to Mr. Asogi's? His name is Mr. Grimsby Groylot. He is very important Western gentleman. Western gentleman? But not think about it. He has nothing to do with murder of student boy. How can you be so sure about that? Mr. Roylott is authentic Western gentleman. Such a man would have no interest in lowly student from insignificant Far East Islands. That was harsh.
Could you tell us when Mr. Roylott came on board? Aboard?
That is not your business. Come to think of it, even though we've been at sea for 2 weeks now, and I've been in Kazuma's cabin the entire time, I've never once heard anything from the next door cabin, or even felt like there's anyone there.
Well, presumably since this gentleman is occupying one of the first-class cabins, he must be rather important, is that right?
That is not your business. Are you on watch here all the time, Seaman Strogenov? All time. So criminals like you cannot come in or get out.
I wonder, could you tell us anything about last night at all?
It is sad about student boy. Were you on watch last night as well? Of course. And did you notice anything at that time? Anything unusual? Yet. Sasato-san, did you understand that?
It was clearly a no.
I saw nothing unusual. Nothing at all. You didn't hear any strange noises or sense anything was wrong in some way? I said no. Sorry. I'm not sure. I could have sworn that he wouldn't catch my eye for a moment there. I was looking at the words. This is enough. I cannot say more now. Oh. It is time for me to report to Captain. You must return to cabin. Yes, alright. Bulkhead to second class area is staying locked at all times. You escape when the lobster whistles on top of the mountain. Or, as English say, when pigs fly. Yes, I understand.
Good, now we can investigate this area properly, shall we?
Definitely. Let's break all the things. Yeah, time to sneak in here. This is it. This is the cabin next to ours, the one the ventilator connects to.
Yes, the ventilator from which Kazuma-sama wrote that he saw a speckled band emerging.
Maybe whoever's in this cabin can help solve that particular mystery. Let's ask.
Dong dong dong. Hello? Room service?
Oh,
no answer. We're out of luck, it seems. There's no one in there to help with our inquiries.
how annoying.
What was that? It came from inside the cabin. Such a high-pitched scream. It must have been a woman.
Stand aside. I'm about to break the door down.
Mr. Sholmes!
I shan't be stopped. When the fit is on me, I revel in kicking doors off their hinges.
Please wait, Mr. Sholmes. The door doesn't appear to be bolted.
It doesn't? Then how the deuce can I dispatch this muscular urge? What, pray, can I kick? I think we should go in. There's no time to think about stress relief. Alright, this looks like a horrible place to stop. Tune in next time to see what's going on inside. Thanks for watching. See ya.